Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I really want to talk about the James Charles situation that's going on. That is James Charles and a bunch of other dudes co-opting. That was thunder. How ominous and apt. Basically, there's a TikToker called Kayla Malik who released 2 long videos, 2 hours each, detailing the abusive relationship she had with her ex called Evan. Since then, Kayla and Evan have been to court. And the thing about Kayla's case is she had video and photographic evidence of the abuse as well. So how does James Charles come into all of this? Well, I'm glad you asked. So Kayla releases her videos, and then this account called Be Better a few weeks ago releases an interview with this dude called Zack Sellars, who is the ex-best friend of Evan Johnson. And he details how James Charles got involved. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to make how I feel perfectly clear. I think all of these blokes have managed to turn a domestic violence situation about a woman into something about themselves. The very too long didn't watch version of this video is sponsored by Coupet. Are you tired of hunting for coupons and promo codes? I know I am. That's why I love using Coupet. It's a free extension designed to save you money while shopping online effortlessly. Whenever you reach a checkout page, Coupet automatically tests and applies the best coupons available, ensuring you get a maximum savings with no extra effort. Coupet also applies cashback extras. And when you browse on shopping websites, Coupet displays price information from other platforms and retailers, helping you make the best informed purchasing decisions. Coupet supports Chrome, Edge, Firefox and Safari on desktop and Safari on mobile. With over 6 million weekly active users on desktop and 3 million active users on mobile. Coupet is a trusted choice for savvy shoppers. Try saying that 5 times too fast. Trusted choice, savvy shoppers. Coupet works with over 200,000 merchants, ensuring you get the best deals possible. Coupet supports cashback from over 76,000 retailers, including Sephora for all my makeup girlies. Cashback rewards typically take over 15 days to process and can be redeemed via gift cards, PayPals, or bank card. So what are you waiting for? Are you ready to save money and get some good deals? Why do I sound like a telemarketer? Use the special link in my description to install Coupet and start saving yourself some money. Thank you, Coupet, for sponsoring today's video. James Charles pursued a friendship with Kayla's ex soon after they broke up, after being very flirtatious with him, a straight dude, the whole time that Kayla and Evan were dating. James claims he was just, he saw someone going through a hard time. He didn't realize, even though Kayla sent him a text being like, yes, like abuse, she says abuse in the text. James claims that he just saw a guy going through a hard time, related it back to his own experience of going through a hard time, of being publicly cancelled or whatnot, and wanted to look after this guy's mental health. But he was friends, work friends at least, with Kayla first, and only met her ex-boyfriend through her. So it's not about the fact that he went after his friend's ex. It's about the fact that her word as a woman wasn't good enough for him. It's the inherent misogyny. She said abuse in the text message to him, and he didn't take it seriously. His own admission, he didn't take it seriously. Because some people have really managed to reframe this just as, James didn't know any better. He was being manipulated. He's like 26, being manipulated by what, a 21-year-old? Oh, behave. I'm sure stranger things have happened, but how many times can he keep using that? Because here's the thing about James Charles. Now I've warmed up. Now I'm into it. He admitted to texting minors all those years ago, got away with it, and now is bigger on TikTok than he ever was on YouTube. He's got like 40 million followers on TikTok. It's crazy. So there's a whole generation of younger people who follow him who are simply unaware, because they weren't around on YouTube during that time, that long old time 4 years ago. They're unaware that every single time Charles has tried to frame it as, I'm just being manipulated. But Jim Bob thinks he's a smart dude. I've heard him talk a few times. I know that he thinks he's a smart guy. So it's like, I'm not saying smart people can't get manipulated, but please, every single time you're the one being manipulated by these younger people, maybe, Jimmy, stop talking to younger people. Right? Maybe that. Anyway, no, but the situation has really been reframed as, well, Kayla and James weren't even friends, like that good friends, and so he just like tried to be a friend to her ex-boyfriend. It's fucking weird to, at best, think, oh, they had a bad breakup and he's a nasty guy. Not take the abuse bit seriously, but think he's a nasty guy. And at worst, he is abusive. So it's like, why are you going up? I'm not even going to try and attempt to understand Jim Bob. But regardless, Be Better is ran by this PR person who's done a few TikToks. I've seen some of his videos. It's ironic because he's done videos on advice he would give celebrities on how to handle a PR crisis, and yet right now he's getting a lot of backlash because this interview came out, and then James Charles did a response on TikTok. We'll also look at that. And why do I not like this Zack? I don't like anyone really. Besides Kayla in this situation, I don't like anyone, right? Why do I get a bad vibe about Zack Sellars? Well, I looked at his TikTok, and every single TikTok is just calling James Charles out. James Charles this, James Charles that. And he's got, last time I checked, like 60,000 followers just on the back of doing this. And I know that, at least he says in this video, that he spoke to Kayla and, you know, she was cool with this. But I think, I mean, she's a young lady. Why did I say it like that? She's a young girl. She's about 20, 21 as well, right? I think she would have been happy for anyone to be taking her side, because it's a scary thing to go public about the fact that you had this previous public relationship and the guy was abusive, and his, you know, even though she had evidence, she still would have feared people not believing her. And here's the thing, she has videos of him like yelling at her, and she has photographs of the how the injuries she sustained from him attacking her several times. I mean, he basically tried to kill her at one point, twice actually. He, trigger warning, he attempted to strangle her a few times, and then there was this one incident where he pushed her from the top of the stairs in like a metro underground. That's attempted murder. She could have she feared that she was paralyzed because she couldn't feel anything when it happened. She could have easily broken her neck. Even with the evidence that she provided, there are still some people, not that many, but there are still some people being like, oh, I don't believe that Evan did it. And I don't think this Evan guy, from what Kayla said, because I'm not unaware of these people, I'm older, right? But from what Kayla said, it seems like this ex wasn't even a public figure. She's huge. She's got like 16 million followers on TikTok. But it seems like this ex was just, I don't know, some loser trying to use her for clout. So of course, if people want to speak on her behalf, she's probably going to feel like, yes, please. You know, I don't want people thinking that I'm making this up, right? But this guy, he's really just milking the situation. And James Charles responded that he's going to sue Zack for the things that he said in this video this interview that we're going to watch together. And it's just crazy how, remember when this situation originally was about Kayla almost being killed by an ex-boyfriend, and now you blokes have made it all about yourself. Misogynist, mate. Anyway, let's watch this video, shall we? If you can hear the thunder and lightning, yes, ambient, innit?
Okay, so I just want to start off by thanking Zack for speaking with me and for coming all the way to Toronto to do this interview. I also want to start by reiterating some of the private conversations that you and I have had, which is in speaking on your firsthand experience in this entire situation, to remember that Kayla is at the heart of it. And
someone needs to remind these guys of that, I think.
To acknowledge the real gravity of what she went through, and to encourage every single person to watch her videos first and foremost before they watch this, because I just don't want anything that we're speaking about today to overshadow her story.
Well done, all of you.
So like throughout the duration of your friendship with him, did you notice any red flags with him in the way that he behaved or anything looking back?
Looking back, believe it or not, I did not. And the worst that he had, told me during that time was they were very verbal. Never, nothing was never physical. When I say that, I was manipulated, I believed, Evan's side. I believed at one point, I did not know Kayla. I believed that she was, in the wrong. She was the evil person. Me looking back now, I know the true side.
Another interesting thing about the Evan being manipulative and being able to manipulate all of these grown men narrative is, so I watched a few videos that are out, but actually no, Kayla includes times where Evan is yelling at her, and there's other various clips of Evan online. Even without being an abusive misogynist. The guy is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm sorry. Some of you need to go listen to him talk. He would always abuse her by just calling her a slut for no reason, even though he claimed to have slept with over 100 people. Yeah, right. He'll be like, you're a slut, you're a slut, you're a slut, your cat stinks, you're a slut, oh my god, you're a slut. You could hear, like, the negative IQ points just in his cadence. In his voice alone, you can hear how stupid this guy is. You know, so when people are being like, oh yeah, he's really manipulative, I'm just kind of like, huh? I don't believe Jim Bob, of course, but how is this guy, like, it's just like Schrodinger's arsehole. Schrodinger's manipulative arsehole. Somehow manipulative enough, which would imply a level of intelligence to be manipulative, right? To manipulate all of these grown men. And yet, you listen to him, total idiot, complete moron. Anyway, couldn't hold his own in a conversation for 2 seconds with someone like me. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm just a philosopher, don't you all know? Oh, my exams should be finished by the time this video is up, so hooray for me. I am going to be a philosopher.
Wow.
This guy just keeps being like, wow. I forgot. For me personally, this interview is actually quite hard to listen to. In the pettiest way imaginable, just because this Zack guy isn't the best at. I mean, he's probably not been on camera before. Should I be fairer? No. Like, why are you using this situation to get clout yourself? Let's continue.
He, you know, was always mentioning it takes two to tango. When I say that this man, like, I don't even want to call him a man because he's not a man, but that boy was literally speaking about it takes two to tango, takes two to tango. That right there, that saying, like, I've really not heard it much. And he said, you know, he spoke on that, you know, saying so much.
See what I mean? Like, what was that? What was that last phrase? Like, sorry.
You've obviously alluded to there being some kind of a connection between James Charles and Evan Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So can you elaborate a little bit on maybe the first time that you ever saw Evan Johnson and James Charles interacting?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the first time was when he came to my house and picked me up. And when I say he came to my house to pick me up, that was usually, he was always the driver. I mean, I drive, but if he's going to offer to drive, you know, I'm going to be like, okay, come pick me up.
What has that got to do with anything? My ADHD can't handle this, I'm sorry.
So I went to get into Evan's.
I'm screen recording. Usually I'd listen to this on like 2 times speed. But I can't. Because that's not fair to you guys. The sacrifices I make for this channel.
So
When you saw James Charles on FaceTime, did you know who he was?
by the voice, yes. And then I just looked over and it was James.
Right. Kind of hard to mistake him for someone else.
Yes.
Yeah. So there were other encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like ongoing? And then also, were there any encounters where James was speaking specifically about Kayla?
Yes, there was. So that conversation that I actually, you know, got in and
Which, by the way, I can totally believe that James Charles was giving Evan advice on how to survive, how to survive a cancellation. Like, the guy wasn't really, he was only an influencer so far as he was trying to like mooch off of his girlfriend. Like, why would he need to film it? Just weird. But also, yeah, crazy that someone you're acquaintances with goes through a breakup. So then you decide that you have your sights on their ex, and you know that the breakup is messy, so you give their ex advice on how to navigate it. But James reframed this as, I was just looking after his mental health, like trying to play the mental health card, the get out of, is that too far to say? The get out of jail free card. I was trying to look after his mental health. I'm a martyr. I'm a saint. Like, behave. No, you weren't. You wanted that straight boy bussy.
interrupt it. I now I have, you know, caught on.
Don't everyone give me grief for that. That's James's type. Straight men.
And that's when James came back to Evan and was like, well, you didn't lose anything, Evan, out of this. If anything, you won. You got away from the psycho. She is the psychopath. Like, you are not the problem. She's the problem. She's been known to be the problem. She has been known to lie. She has been also known to make up complete fake stories just to get clout and have views. That's the only way.
I can't imagine him saying that about a woman to a man. Totally. Oh my God, is James a pick-me? Amongst other things, is he a pick-me? For another man, huh, James?
The times that I was with him, James would use Instagram as his Snapchat. And I didn't know, like, was not aware, like, why does James not have Snapchat? Like, why is he using Instagram photos, sending back and forth?
I can tell you why he doesn't have Snapchat, because he was caught texting 16-year-old boys on Snapchat. That's what he was canceled for.
Wow.
So
Oop.
Evan was engaging back with, pictures and, like, Evan would just sit here and, like, pull his phone up and be like, stick out his tongue and stuff like that. You got to think that Evan had me, but I'm not a celebrity. The only person he had after losing Kayla that he felt that he would be able to stay in the industry was James Charles. So he had to keep James Charles as close to him as possible.
Which is just another layer on top of this. Sorry, meat and biscuits. Isn't it? That, like, from what I gather, this Evan dude is totally straight. But he was flirting to keep James interested because he needed to use James for clout. What world do we live in, guys?
There was a message back that James had sent to Evan and says, I have a big surprise for you when you get home. And when we get to Evan's house and in his room, Evan message him. They were messaging the whole time anyways. And takes a picture of himself and was like, obviously him in his room. Mm-hmm. And the next picture was James bent over on his bed with his ass up in the air and was showing his ass and didn't say anything in the first picture. Mm-hmm. Then messaged is like, how do you like that, daddy? Yeah.
I'm styling.
I know this part is all alleged, but I can't believe that.
Would it be fair to say that you felt like the nature of their relationship was definitely sexual?
It was 100% sexual.
He probably shouldn't have said that.
And what kind of things did you?
Just opening himself up to get sued.
I posted my first video on TikTok, and not even 5 minutes of my video being posted of me calling James out that him and Evan, were together in California and that he flew him out. 5 minutes later, James Charles was at Coachella on that Sunday, the first weekend, and he was texting me at Coachella. I didn't even have 500 likes on that video.
That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that James was sweating.
So there were some initial messages which we can put on the screen. James said, "Hello, I'm just now seeing these. I'm absolutely not on his side and would really, really appreciate it if you would leave me out of this. I only ever spoke to him because he manipulated me into thinking his situation was similar to what I went through."
How? In what world? James went through an insane, like basically unprecedented level of social media public backlash. Remember when he lost, what was it, like 1 million or like 2 million followers in a single day? Something mad like that. He was getting attacked from all angles. It was so messy. How is that even equivalable? Or even how is Evan's situation even a tenth of that? Oh, behave, James.
Interesting to me because James Charles is 26 years old. He's a multimillionaire. He's very successful. I think in a lot of ways, in the way he conducts himself, he's not smart, but he's not a dumb person. The idea that James Charles was manipulated by a 20-year-old boy who can barely string a sentence together
I completely agree.
And then he says, it was a really personal and sensitive topic that I had empathy for. Do you feel like James Charles was assisting Evan because he had empathy for him?
Empathy, horny, same difference.
So then James had reached out to Kayla and said something along the lines of, are we still good to do this Valentine's Day project? And Kayla said, oh, so funny. Actually, we literally just broke up yesterday. Evan did some of the worst things a human being could ever do to someone to me, abused me, explained the situation. And then James said
So James came back after she said that and was like, can I have him now? Kayla thought he was completely joking. Like literally thought her best friend, which is, James at the time.
So we'll actually see the exchange later on in James's video, a bit of Kayla's response, but there's no need to exaggerate the truth and lie. They weren't best friends. They were probably friends and they worked together on a few TikToks and whatnot, but they weren't best friends, Zach. And you don't even need to say that to make it even worse. It's still awful what James has done. Completely dismissed, invalidated, ignored a woman's opinion to go after some like stupid fucking dude who can't talk properly. Quite frankly, it's a little bit it's only similar in this aspect. It's a bit like the Ethan Klein iDubbbz thing going on right now, which staying out of that dumpster fire, thank you very much. But a few commentary channels who I've watched talk about the subject are really running with the Ian and Ethan were best friends. They were best friends. And this has happened. And I don't really care what side you take on. I know what I think of the situation, and I'm not sharing it because I'm not stupid, right? My take on the situation is I don't like anyone. Surprise, surprise. But they were not best friends. They were never best friends. Even when iDubbbz was still doing all the content cop shit. Like, they were never best friends. Like, I think that's obvious. They were like friends and friendly and work colleagues, maybe like good friends to extent, but not best friends. You don't need to like say that to make the situation like worse. You don't need to exaggerate. Like, anyone who's even aware of that time period knows that Joji and Ethan were closer. Ethan preferred liked Joji more. So whatever.
Time was just joking with her, saying that.
But that's already like a really inappropriate joke.
Yeah, that's
Even if it is, but little did we know he wasn't joking at all.
no.
So that's where I'm concerned because
Yeah, it's definitely still an inappropriate joke. Imagine finding out that your friend broke up with their boyfriend. Like, in what universe would you turn around and be like, "Oh, can I have them now?" Like, it's so like, who would say that? Like, no one would say that to someone that they actually genuinely respected. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that of any of my friends.
also, regardless of that, Kayla had already posted a live and people were discussing Evan Johnson being an abuser. It wasn't as clear, it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. But if the public knew, James knew.
Yeah.
And obviously James knew because he's admitting to helping him. What were you helping him with? You were helping him with these accusations. So James knew.
Yes.
That's a fact. The only question is,
So this guy, I don't know his name, Be Better, whatever, marketing dude, he said she explained the situation. She didn't, but she did say abuse, but she didn't go into detail, which then, James has hijacked this to be like, see, I didn't know the situation. Conveniently missing the bit where it says abuse. Well, he actually says that he just thought, we'll get to it, but he just thought that Kayla was exaggerating. Good one, James. Bunch of knobheads.
he either didn't believe Kayla or he didn't care. Which one do you think it was?
Bro, he didn't care.
Didn't care. James didn't care. He saw that,
Should I say allegedly so that James doesn't sue me? He allegedly didn't care.
Evan was good looking. He thought, he obviously even told Evan, like, you're everything that, like, I look for in a guy. You have abs, you work out, you take care of yourself, you're super tall.
Yeah, Reed takes care of himself with all the binge drinking this dude does, to the point that he was losing consciousness, having to be like, not what Zach was mentioning earlier, but in Kayla's video, like, he had to be resuscitated essentially because he drank so much, poisoned himself. Reed taking care of himself, yeah.
And, you're a man.
He said Evan's everything he looks for in a man.
He's a man? Right, no, I need to be quiet. Not exactly a paragon of masculinity, is he?
So the other thing that he added was he's obviously manipulating and lying to everyone. I should have never spoken to him, but you were in the car with him, so I don't think it's fair you're making a video accusing me of being some monster when he had you convinced too.
Sad emoji.
You were friends with the abuser, and when you found out, you still sided with the victim, Kayla, and stood by her. He was friends with Kayla.
Mm-hmm.
He was friends with the victim.
Yes.
And he didn't believe her and then circumvented their entire friendship to go behind her back and pursue a physical relationship with this person who did awful, unspeakable things that we can't even say or this video would get banned.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly add as well, there was one final message which I believe you didn't respond to. He did say that you were telling the truth here. He said, I originally did tell him he shouldn't respond because he's a fucking dumbass and would never be able to defend himself.
Let's read these. On Monday, when I reached out, I tried to get in touch with you because I answered one last call from Evan. He told me he didn't care that I was dropping him, that you guys are still in contact, and that you are continuing to advise him to stay quiet as long as he can, even though it makes him look guilty. Why have they love-hearted each other's combos? We are not in contact. I stopped responding right after a video. When he asked for advice, I originally did tell him he shouldn't respond because he's a fucking dumbass and would never be able to defend himself. Clearly now we know why. Coachella is my busiest time of year, so my DMs are insane. I genuinely didn't see them. I got tagged in your video on TikTok, and that's how I saw them. Respond back immediately. I appreciate you reaching out. I wish I would have seen them sooner. I'm really sorry he treated you badly. He definitely needs help from a professional. He doesn't need help, he needs jail. He needs help too, but jail as well.
And I also just want to add that something that we do also have in our folder, but you have a screenshot that we verified, which is a Find My iPhone screenshot of Evan being at James's house on the exact weekend that you're claiming.
Yes.
Do you want to explain why you screenshotted that?
He was like, I'm going to James's huge mansion, like huge. And I was like, is it that big? So we made a bet that like, you want to bet? Like, I promise you it's a mansion. So I took a screenshot of it to, like, when he came back, he was like, so like, it's a nice house. And yes, it's probably a very, very expensive house, and it is, but it's not a mansion. Don't get me wrong. It is nice, but it's not a mansion.
Not be classified as a mansion.
No, absolutely not. So that's why I took the screenshot. But we're here now. Like everything happens for a reason, and I'm so glad that maybe that bet was put in for a reason.
Nothing happens for a reason. Sorry. Become such an arse since I experienced death firsthand and up close, huh? Everything happens for a reason. What, you take a screenshot, it's called coincidence. Or maybe it's not even coincidence. Maybe he was already compiling, but who knows? Maybe he was already subconsciously suspicious and wanted to compile. Do you know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason. The universe is vast and cold, and nothing matters. Anyway, let's continue.
And to your knowledge, what happened between them on that weekend together?
So on that weekend, Evan had Snapchatted me, and he was laying in James's bed. And James's bed, as I can go back and think, is pretty much solid white comforter, white sheets, white pillowcases, just very, natural. And it was a very large bed because Evan snapped. It was like, just woke up. He didn't have a shirt on, and he was literally in James's bed. And
I think this is the stuff that this guy is going to get allegedly sued for. I say allegedly then, not like, oh, cover my back allegedly, but as in, I don't know, I'm kind of curious as to if James Charles actually will try and sue this guy.
So Evan had snapped me, and it was a picture, and when I say dressed from all the way like top to bottom in all black, even with ski mask on, they were literally walking because they haven't been out of the house. They wanted to go for a walk together. So they went for a walk in his neighborhood together, but wearing literally all black. And I literally like snapped him back and was like, what the actual heck are you guys doing? Like, what? Like, I was confused. He goes, we have to, because apparently like there's people stalking us also. And Kayla and Emma's apparently like drove by and been stalking.
I bet that Evan guy loved it. I bet he loved the idea of, ooh, I'm important enough to get stalked. No, he's just a loser.
And then after they returned from their trip together, did Evan inform you of anything that happened between them?
So later that evening, the night, he ended up like wanting to go drink and got pretty wasted. So I was like, so what all happened? Like, what'd you guys get to do? Like, what'd y'all do? And he was like, well, all we done was off together. Then he goes, money's money. Made the comment, money is money.
Well, that's a bizarre comment.
Yeah, so I was confused with that.
What a world we live in.
Where he was so drunk. There is, let's just say, something on his phone, and they did have sex.
No wonder James is suing this guy. Not an allegedly in sight.
Yes, it was a very quick clip, and it was actually on Snapchat in his memories, but it was saved as camera roll for some odd reason.
And you believe this video depicted James Charles and Evan Johnson having sex?
Oh, yes. 100%. You can hear 100%. It was obviously.
100% he's saying, see you in court, Zach.
You're in the video.
So in the video, you could hear James calling Evan daddy and moaning. When Evan comment back, money's money. So allegedly, I mean, I'm sure there was lots of money involved.
So you do believe that James had paid Evan?
I do.
Some way, but at the end of the day, you're still exchanging sex for money, especially when you're coercing someone who I believe to be straight.
As far as I know, his sexuality, Evan was straight.
Do you think Mr. PR boy here could have warned this Zach guy that, hey, if you're going to like go all out and allege that someone as rich as James Charles is paying straight dudes to jack off of him. Maybe throw in an allegedly, or this is hearsay for legal reasons. Can Mr. PR not tell Zack that? Oh dear.
Obviously, it exists on a spectrum, but for the most part, he operated and identified as a straight man, which is actually James Charles's.
Operated as a straight man is hilarious. What does that even mean? Operated as a straight man. I got nothing.
And like Tatu said in her By Sister video, crack their sexuality like an escape room. That's not the way that you should engage with people.
No.
And I also just want to add, in our research, we have some reports that that weekend that they had spent together, James Charles had posted on his Instagram story that he was cooking pasta or something. And maybe if someone sees this video, they have a screenshot they can share with us.
Yes.
Not all baking cookies, which is interesting because he's known to not really cook. To me, it's just icing on the cake because there's something so predatory about that. It's almost reminding me of a fairy tale, and someone like a witch in a forest is like cooking up cookies to lure the kids in.
Sorry, what? Did I just miss something? It went from, oh yeah, James is 100% definitely, James, don't sue me. Hearsay, I'm mirroring them. Also, I don't care about you or respect you. I don't care about anyone. But like, how did it go from, yeah, James is like causing straight men to prostitute themselves to he's cooking and he's like the witch in Hansel and Gretel? Did I fucking miss something?
That weekend that they had spent together, James Charles had posted on his Instagram story that he was cooking pasta or something. And maybe if someone sees this video, they have a screenshot they can share with us.
Yes.
Not all baking cookies, which is interesting because he's known to not really cook. To me, it's just icing on the cake because
that silence is the sound of me being godsmacked. Would you? Who cares? That's not interesting. Who cares? Maybe he just wanted to cook some pasta for. He's not known to cook. I mean, he's done baking videos. He doesn't seem like that. Remember years ago, didn't he? Reaching with that one, dude.
Because there's something so predatory about that. It's almost reminding me of a fairy tale, and someone like a witch in a forest is like cooking up cookies to lure the kids in to her house. Like, it's just wanted to add that.
Wanted to add what? That was nothing. He was cooking some pasta, so he was like the witch in Hansel and Gretel, but instead of luring kids in, he's trying to lure in straight men, and then he's going to prostitute them. What are you talking about? I'm not saying I believe or disbelieve the previous stuff, though. hearsay. I'm not saying that, but like that has nothing to do with anything, dude. Now I'm just annoyed, and I'm annoyed at the wrong person because I should be annoyed about James because he's the title of this video.
So I also just want to draw attention to a snap that you took a photo of in which Evan messaged several people, including you, alleging that Kayla was lying, that he's actually the victim, and bragged that James Charles was on his side, giving him guidance on how to navigate the situation.
Trying to ruin me. It's so immature. My mum is even on my side. Big whoop. You're abusive. You've probably got a boy mum. She's seen the way Kayla would talk to me and treat me. It just got toxic. But since she has such a huge fan base, it's really hard to get my truth out. James Charles told me to be as quiet as long as I can, no matter what. Even though it makes me look guilty. I just can't compete with all her diehard fans. Shut up, loser.
Really quickly as well, you had also said that you believe that James had invited Evan to Coachella.
Yes. So I was aware that I was witnessed the conversation of
I was aware that I was witness. No, I'm nitpicking now. I'm going to stop.
the first weekend of Coachella.
I was aware that I was privy to a conversation. Not the point.
So it wasn't enough for James to just have been told privately from someone who was his friend for years that this person did horrible things to me. It was when it became public that it became an inconvenience to him, and he was willing to separate himself from Evan when it was a risk to his reputation.
Yes, it literally had to be public for James to, oh no, we can't do this and that. James is sick. He is a sick guy. He needs very much help.
Don't disagree there.
Zack, thank you for speaking with me.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
That was that. So let's look at James Charles's response. Look at this. Almost 41 million followers. 68 million views of this.
I do not.
Casually refollows. What is wrong with you? Okay, so who believes him? Not me. Well, actually, There are some things I believe him about, not any of the Kayla stuff. Okay. Extra context. Why did this have to be posted the same day as court? Kayla deserves 1 day of rest and peace, because these people at their base level are just such attention seekers. Like, filmed this yesterday, but I promised privately I'd wait for the court case to be over before I speak publicly. Happy Kayla got the justice she deserves. Like, you really had to put it up on the same day. Whatever.
Support Evan Johnson in any way, shape, or form, and let me make that fucking clear. I don't support him. I don't support violence against women.
He's swearing, so I must believe him.
And I sure as hell do not
That's probably how, like, some of these children think.
support the disgusting, deplorable, violent, heinous acts that he committed against Kayla Malik behind closed doors. I really fucking hope and pray that when this goes to court this week, Kayla gets justice for what that man put her through.
I don't believe him by how the overuse of prose. Maybe this is just a me thing, but when someone's doing a bit too much, it's like, I don't believe you. I think this is insincere. And I can relate this to a episode of The Gilmore Girls. I shouldn't cover drama because this is all highly inappropriate of me. There's an episode of The Gilmore Girls where it's Lorelai's graduation from her community college, and Rory's meant to go, but Rory gets held up on a bus because she went to go see Jess in New York. Now, when Lorelai has her graduation, she has a lovely moment with her parents, and then she goes home and Rory's there, and Rory is being so OTT. She's been like, I don't deserve anything. I don't even deserve to breathe. I'm not going to breathe anymore without your permission. I'm not going to do anything, and I'm not going to, like, I'm going to do all the laundry. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And she's talking like a mile a minute, and it's just so OTT. It's like, I don't actually believe you're sorry, because you're just being ridiculous. Him in like the heinous things. James, did you write that one down before you started speaking? Anyway.
At the same time, the videos that I'm currently seeing all over my For You page are disturbing to me. This is not TikTok tea and
You're disturbing to me.
drama for everyone else's entertainment. This is real people dealing with some really serious shit. The conversation has
Didn't care about that initially though, and Kayla said this guy did the worst things you can do to a person. He didn't care then, did he?
completely shifted focus away from Kayla Malik and how she was brave enough to speak out about what she went through to...
I agree. It has shifted it away, and you've shifted it even more. Like, all of these dudes, can they all just, like, shut up?
How is James Charles involved? The downfall. By Sister 2.0. Where's the apology video? It's distracting from the actual issue at hand, which is domestic violence. I have not spoken out about this for a couple of different reasons. The main one being, this is going to court this week. Anything I or anybody else says online can and probably will be used by either Evan's defense attorney or the judge to affect the outcome of its ruling. And I didn't want to put Kayla at any risk for that. I hate that I'm getting online and filming this video right now, but I truthfully have no other choice because I've also spent the last several weeks trying to get in contact with the only person involved in this that actually matters and needs to hear the truth, and that's Kayla Malik. And she has been unwilling to have a conversation with me. And frankly, I don't fucking blame her.
I hope she continues to just not talk to you.
After I watched the laughable interview between Be Better and Zack Sellars, I wouldn't want to have a conversation with me either if I was being fed complete bullshit, lies, and misinformation from the person whose only source of information is the same man that lied to and abused me for 9 months straight. At this point, I have no choice other than to get online, tell my story, and then prove my story to be true in a court of law. I am suing Zack Sellars and anybody else that thinks it's funny or entertaining to get online and spread defamatory and slanderous lies, misinformation, completely bullshit, made up.
I don't know if this is going to count as like James Sellars will want to sue me for this, but you see all the hand movements. I feel like he would be a good Scientologist. You know how they're taught within Scientology to do like there's that Leah Remini lady. They're taught to do certain things, and it's like a subconscious type of manipulation to get you. Like cult leaders do that kind of stuff. Like if you, I don't recommend this, but like a Russell Brand video, Russell Brand over gesticulates with his hands. I feel like it's a very culty, and James was just doing it then. Am I going to get sued for saying that, James? Good luck.
Up stories for the sake of views, likes, engagement, and galaxies. I'm done. This all started.
See, it's so rehearsed, and people in the comments have been like, "Oh my god, I believe him. He didn't stutter." That is so rehearsed. His little hand movements. Oh, Jimmy.
At the beginning of 2025, when I reached out to Kayla about her and Evan being in a Valentine's Day video together, she told me she couldn't. She was crashing out because they had just broken up because he was crazy. I tried to lighten the mood a little bit and make a lighthearted joke asking, could I have him now?
Crashing out. Tune in for the 30-part Who Did I Marry series, which girls do usually to talk about their abusive or crazy ex-boyfriends. Brooke Schofield did one. it's a known thing. So he's like, what? Girl, he's crazy. What happened? Can I have him now? Why? And then he's like, I'm sorry, Kayla, you deserve, but imagine like the worst thing a human can do to you. It would take hours to text it, but you'll see the series soon because what the hell? But thank you so much. Congrats for all the painted love.
All she told me was that he did awful things to her and that I would find out more in her 30-part TikTok series. She said she was upset that she helped build his platform.
I gave this man a platform based on his lies and abuse. And wait to hear from it, then clock it. But there you go, right there. Imagine the worst thing a human can do. Abuse. Imagine the worst thing a human can do. Abuse.
Platform based off of lies and abuse, and whenever she was healed, she was going to get online and expose him. I'm going to be so honest, I did not take this conversation very seriously. And obviously, now knowing what we all do, I fucking should have. Reading it back now, it is super clear that she was using humor to cope, and that is perfectly fine and valid. But at the time, I genuinely interpreted these messages as a messy breakup. Maybe
I don't believe you, but also if it was a messy breakup, why would you then still try and go after her ex-boyfriend that you only met via her? It's just weird. You are so weird. That's the nicest thing that's the tamest way I can say. You are just so weird.
maybe he cheated. Maybe they got into a drunken argument that ended badly. I could have never imagined what she was actually going through behind the scenes.
No, because you don't take women seriously. Sorry, am I going to get sued for saying that? Like she says, lies, worst thing a human can do, abuse, and you didn't take that seriously. A girl told you that and you thought that she was just being dramatic. It's the misogyny for me.
A lot of Kayla's own friends and family have said they had no idea what she was going through. I wish I could go back in time and been there for her, tried to help her. I wish that I would have asked more questions, but frankly, I didn't feel comfortable doing so. First and foremost, she obviously wasn't ready to talk about
No, but you felt comfortable going to her ex-boyfriend to give him advice on what?
it yet based on her last message. And secondly, me and Kayla Malik just weren't close friends. I don't say that to take away from her feelings about this. I don't say that to undermine what she went through. We've only met a couple of times. We collabed in 2023. She guest starred on a podcast with me in 2024, and we hung out at our mutual friend's Halloween party back in October. We've never hung out one-on-one. We've never had a deep conversation. I just really didn't know her that well to be able to interpret.
I can imagine that they weren't super close friends. Because their fan bases are younger, people really run with these ideas sometimes that, oh, these people, they've done, X amount of videos together, they must be like super close in real life. I mean, look at the Ian and Ethan thing. They were clearly never best friends. Wait for me to get humbled and it turned out that actually, yeah, Ian and Ethan were best mates or whatever. People assume that people are a lot closer online because they appear a certain way. So I can imagine that they weren't close friends. But still, you didn't know this dude. You only knew him via this girl who you didn't take seriously, who said to you, the abuse, and you didn't take her seriously. That's misogyny. Taking the word of a man who you barely know over someone who you knew quite a bit better, you've worked together, you have hung out. It's just misogyny. You're just a pick-me, James. You're going to take me to court over that? According to James, I would go up there, put my hands on the Bible and be like, yes, Your Honor, James Charles is a pick-me.
Interpret these messages and have a better idea of what was actually happening behind closed doors. And I wish more than anything I did, because I should have never gotten involved with this, but I did not know what she was going through. I really fucking hate Twitter.
How many times can he keep saying that? I didn't know that they were actually underage when I was texting them. I didn't know this or that. How many times are you going to pretend that you're a smart guy, but then also claim ignorance?
Admit it, but I did have a brief friendship with Evan Johnson that started and ended well before I ever learned about any of the violence that was going on behind the scenes. He reached out to me a couple of days later asking me for advice and told me the same exact story that Zack Sellars believed and then repeated on the Be Better podcast, which was that the relationship was toxic, they both said things and did things that they shouldn't have, and a bunch of other stories that genuinely made me believe Evan Johnson was the victim in the situation. He told me that he moved back.
You believed some bloke who you didn't know over this woman who says that it was abusive. I mean, there you go. It doesn't make you look good to admit this.
To Nashville to go to church and get therapy and try to become a better man, and he seemed vulnerable. He seemed real, and he seemed scared that Kayla was going to get online and start telling lies about him, and he knew exactly what to say to relate it back to a situation that...
I mean, he probably was scared. because it's pretty damning. Like, he seems scared that she was going to go online, and, put two and two together. Why would he be so worried?
I was in that made me have sympathy for him and be on his side. I feel so fucking dumb for ever believing him, but when I was in a similar situation, all I cared about was anybody treating me like a human being and hearing me out and being there for him, so that's what I tried to provide.
But it's not even an equatable situation, though. He's not a public figure, really. Besides this, he's not a real public figure. Of course, James just believes some sob story of a bloke over a girl.
Became closer, we would start FaceTiming. He was very suicidal and depressed, and eventually he told me that he wanted to come out to LA to escape and get his mind off of things for a weekend, so I invited him out. All we did was sit on the couch, order food, watch movies, but over the course of the weekend, I slowly started to notice that some of his stories were not exactly lining up. There were inconsistencies, and I started to get worried that I might be on the wrong side of things, and that was confirmed as soon as Kayla noticed that he was at my house and I had to lie to her. I didn't know what to do. I realized then that I was in the middle of a very fucking messy situation that I should have never gotten involved with in the first place, but this man was...
This isn't the first time in the past few years that he just somehow gets involved in these messy situations. Does part of him like it? I wonder.
Staying with me, and I didn't know how to get out of it. Later on that night, I told Evan straight up I was uncomfortable, I was upset that I had to lie to her, and that we could not hang out any further. He respected that, and the next morning, he flew home. As soon as Evan left LA, I immediately started making myself unavailable to him because I recognized that he was not the man he was telling me he was. But it wasn't until a month later, when Kayla uploaded her video, He Doesn't Love You, that I actually got to sit and watch how much of a monster he is. My jaw was on the floor for all 2 hours of that video. I could not believe what I was watching and seeing.
I doubt that's James, because usually you can't shut up. I mean, all this is really telling people is women aren't believed unless you get a video of the guy abusing you. Otherwise, they're just not believed.
The horrendous verbal abuse, the violent physical abuse, I was shocked. I was ashamed for not taking me and Kayla's conversation more seriously. I was embarrassed for ever believing that man's lies and manipulation. And I was angry with myself that I ever allowed that man into my home.
Lies and manipulation. I will include clips. Like, the dude is so stupid. How are you being manipulated by this dumbass? Doesn't have 2 brain cells to rub together.
The 9 months we were together, she said the whole 9 months I was abusing her. Right? Why would we go out all the time and do all these crazy adventurous stuff if the whole time it was just terrible?
It was horrifying, and I'm so proud of Kayla for being able to speak up. A couple of days later, I started getting messages on Instagram from Zack Sellars, Evan's best friend, basically warning me that Evan had lied to both of us and telling me that I should cut him off. I didn't see these messages at first until he made a public TikTok accusing me of still supporting Evan behind the scenes, and I messaged him right away because I was confused. His messages genuinely seemed nice. He seemed like he was checking in, warning me to make sure that I was okay and have cut Evan off because he knew that we were both told the same exact lies and stories from Evan. The only reason he even knew I was involved at all was because he was physically with Evan as his best friend, supporting him every single day. It took me 3 days with Evan to realize that something wasn't right here. It took Zack 3 months. So to act this way privately and then to get online as if I'm some monster was wild to me.
I think because the context is different, like they were saying in the previous interview, that guy, he was friends with Evan first and he didn't know Kayla and he didn't know anything about their relationship. Whereas for James, he only knew Evan via Kayla, who he'd known longer. And he still initially chose to take the side over like this dusty, dumbass dude over a girl that he knew. It's not entirely the same.
What started off as a video of James Charles supporting...
But I do also think, because like the Zack guy did say in his interview that like Evan is stupid and whatever, and it's like, yeah, but like you boys, both Zack and James have claimed to be manipulated by this guy who they've all Zack has also called an idiot. At what point do you have to hold your hand up and go, maybe I'm a bit stupid too? Again, I'll roll in some clips because the guy is just, I couldn't believe it when I was listening to Kayla's video and just hearing this guy like go, you're a slut, like 100 times, just ugh.
Evan Johnson behind the scenes snowballed. And
anyone who talks like that, the way that he was talking to Kayla, verbally abusing her, they're not Mr. Bright, Mr. having deep, meaningful conversations at any other point in their lives, are they? I mean, come on.
Into more videos, more content, and then live streams. Every single night, Zack has been live asking for galaxies in exchange for showing more receipts. He's been asking his followers for their cities and locations,
See, I've not seen these, but we'll look through his TikTok in a second because like there is a lot. So if that's true that this Zack guy, which maybe I'll hold my opinion to the end, if this Zack guy has been going on live like begging for galaxies or whatnot, aka like getting a little bit of like in TikTok currency to then show more, that's just gross as well. What a weird world we live in.
He can go on tour with Kayla after this is all over with. He's even been asking for donations on PayPal to fund.
Go on tour with Kayla doing what? Like, I'm sorry, the guy wasn't good at being interviewed. Oh, Alizee, you're being unfair. Like, not everyone has hundreds of hours of experience in front of a camera and microphone. Do you know, I'm not being fair. I don't care. Like, how is he going to go on tour? Say what?
A merch line. This has nothing to do with getting justice for Kayla and everything about making an opportunity for himself.
I got distracted and then I just heard that. A merch line? If that's true, again, wild. And I feel really bad for Kayla if someone wants to make a... I'll have to Google that, because if someone wants to make a merch line profiting off of a horrible situation that Kayla went through, oh my God.
And the perfect one came along when Be Better flew him out to Canada for their podcast interview. Aside from the timeline that I just told you guys, everything else in that hour-long episode is complete bullshit. To start rumors about somebody online is one thing. Unfortunately, I know that comes with the job, but to publicly accuse them of prostitution is ridiculous. There is no proof, no evidence of any of the ridiculous claims that Zack is making because they did not happen, which is why I have no choice other than to take legal action. But before I do that, I want to quickly take a second and clear the air on some things that have really set me over the edge. First and foremost, Evan Johnson and I did not in any way, shape, or form have a physically sexual relationship. We did not have sex while he was here, and I did not under any...
I'm sorry. What was that? James, you absolute diva. Oh, man. Why is it always, like, objectively bad people who are low-key hilarious? Like Bonnie Blue, several other people who I won't dare name. Just kind of...
that have really
funny.
Set me over the edge.
Am I just immature?
First and foremost,
like seriously, look at the screen right now. Watch him. Did not watch him.
Did not have sex while he was here, and I did not under any...
What is that? It's like he's in the shower and he's about to hit the high note, you know? Like, why did he scratch up his face like that? James, you're low-key so funny. Why do you have to be awful?
circumstances pay Evan Johnson for sexual favors, not in...
I mean, it's like, I don't believe him about any of the Kayla stuff. I think he was being gross. But this side of things, I'm a little bit, hold my hands up, I'm a little bit more inclined to believe James, and we'll get to it. We'll look through the other guys' TikToks. A little bit more inclined, especially if he genuinely is putting his money where his mouth is and taking him to court, because it will all come out in court, right? I'll make a video on it if it does happen.
In person, and certainly not online through a secret OF account where I'm apparently funding his entire life. That is absurd. Not that it's anybody...
That didn't come up in the interview, did it?
business, but I do have an OF account. I'm a grown adult. I barely use it, but Zack, if you would like to see, I will gladly send you a screenshot of my transaction history. I have nothing to hide, and I have not sent Evan Johnson $1 single. Zack claims to know all this information to be true because he pressured Evan into getting drunk and telling him what happened on the trip. I don't know if Evan lied to him to make the trip seem more fun and exciting, or if Zacky literally just made this up for funsies. I would like to believe that that isn't the case and that he was manipulated in this situation as well, but he claims to have seen a video on Evan's phone of him having sex with me. Zack, post it. If you have the receipt...
This is incredibly messy. Again, remember this all came from a domestic violence situation, and now it's devolved into this. These guys going back and forth doing this to each other.
If you have the video evidence, you can upload it. You have my full consent and permission. I've had far worse posted to me online that I didn't consent to. Go right ahead. But you can't because there is no video of something that did not happen. Be Better doesn't even stand by these claims because he's now added a disclaimer to their interview.
The views and allegations expressed in this interview are solely those of the interviewee. The content is presented in the public interest for the purposes of discussion and awareness. No statements have been verified, and I do not assert any claims as facts. I am acting solely as the interviewer and publisher, not the source of these allegations. Don't tell me you've been forced to write this. It's not about being forced. It's actually crucial they do this to protect themselves. I commented yesterday because they both need to be careful in the future and use words allegedly, because saying allegedly can protect you from being sued. Otherwise, it can be classed as defamatory. This is a smart move. You express plenty of views, but sure. Should we just read the comments now?
That says he was not able to verify a single thing that Zack said. Second, there's a rumor going around that I paid Evan Johnson's bail. This is not true. It is a public record that it was Evan's family who got him out. Kayla's own sister has confirmed this.
JC did not bail out EJ. I know who did, and I cannot say anything.
Third, there's a new narrative started by Be Better that I am trying to silence anybody that talks about this issue. First and foremost, this is literally the biggest thing on TikTok right now. I don't understand how anybody could possibly assume that I'm trying to silence people, but Be Better made a video basically saying that I'm working with YouTube behind the scenes to manipulate their algorithm and get their video hidden. I truthfully wish this was possible. I've been making content for 8 long years now. There are videos on YouTube with 5, 10, 20 million views that if I could have gotten them removed, I would have. But
I believe him about this. But like I don't think anyone is able to ring up the CEO of YouTube and be like, can you suppress this within the algorithm? I'm not sure it works like that. I think if it did, there are people much bigger than James Charles who would have done this. Mr. Beast and all his... Mr. Beast was the golden boy of YouTube. For if you said a bad thing about him, it was, oh, well, you're being nasty about a man who gives to charity and whatnot. Don't you think that Mr. Beast would have had like those dog pack videos removed? If anyone had enough clout to get videos removed, it would be Mr. Beast. The guy has a net worth of like 500 million. He far eclipses James's. Wait, didn't Be Better say in his interview that James was like the biggest influencer in the world? No, he's not. Mr. Beast is. Mr. Beast would have got stuff taken down if he could about him. All of the people that talk about him. I'm sure PewDiePie, again, once the golden boy of YouTube, would have had people suppressed if this was the case. Sometimes people say the whole I'm being suppressed and shadow banned thing because, you know, their video just doesn't pop off as much as they think it would. And that's normal. That happens. You could do everything right and it still might not pop off. There's no guarantees and there's absolutely no givens. No, I believe him here because there are bigger people who have bigger fish to fry, like Mr. Beast, and he hasn't been able to get YouTube on side to silence. Again, if I get humbled or proven wrong, whatever, that's fine. I'm allowed to be wrong. I don't believe this like paranoid mind. Some people, James isn't. It's seeing as like James is much bigger on TikTok than he is on YouTube. Don't you reckon if there was anyone he would be trying to get to suppress on his behalf, it would be the TikTok CEO rather than the YouTube CEO? He's not that relevant on YouTube anymore, babes. James is someone who used to get, 10 million, 20 million views per video. Even with this recent controversy, 1 million views, 1.7, 1.4, don't know what's happened there. He's averaging 1 to 2 million views. He's not relevant enough for someone at YouTube to actively suppress the algorithm for him. Like, sorry, James, them's the breaks. This Be Better guy, I don't know if it's like paranoid delusions. I don't know if it's like there's slight delusions of grandeur in there as well, but I just don't believe it's the case.
Be Better, I know you said you're having your lawyers reach out to YouTube, so YouTube, I give you my full permission to release any communications between myself or my team to you guys about this matter because, again, they don't exist. Zack has also now made a video.
Also, him giving permission for like this sex tape to get leaked and YouTube to release any whatever, like, it does, you know, I'm more inclined to believe him a little bit about this. You know what I mean? Like, notice how he didn't say to Kayla, or Evan, oh yes, I give full permission for like all of our DMs to be released to blah, 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 blah. But he's very certain of himself in the latter half of this. So I'm not convinced by the former half, but I'm more convinced by the latter, if that makes sense. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong.
Video claiming that my lawyers have reached out to him to threaten him, to silence him, and to offer him hush money. This is not true. Zack, my lawyers cannot contact you directly, so instead they emailed your modeling agency because that is the only contact you have listed. There was no threat, there was no offer, they were simply asking for the contact of your lawyers. I told you I was going to sue you, and this is what the beginning of that process looks like. It really sucks that at this point I am left with no options other than to pursue a case. As for Kayla, I am so fucking sorry that I ever got involved in this. I should have never believed his lies and manipulation. I should have never even responded back to him in the first place, and I'm sorry for hurting you. I genuinely do wish you the absolute best of luck, and I really hope that you get justice for what that means.
His voice takes on a different It just sounds a little bit different when he's talking about Kayla. It sounds a lot more put on and insincere. Anyway, that was James Charles's, and not a single stutter. Someone give this man an award. Dude, he's a professional yapper for a living. Am I getting gaslighted? Yes. I low-key believe him. You're an idiot. I don't believe him about the Kayla and Evan stuff, but the Zack stuff, I mean, he's pretty certain about there not being a sex type and has given him his permission. So, are you kidding?
Zack Sellars just deleted his TikTok account, y'all. I told you that man is just as guilty as James.
For God's sake. Okay, you guys, just quick reminder, Zack Sellars is not important. We shouldn't be giving him time of day. Make a video accusing people. I agree, but we also do, we can say many things at once. We also do have to, you know, consider the fact that like a bunch of these, my gentle parenting voices on. I'm sorry, Rose. A bunch of these dudes made a domestic violence situation about themselves and took the focus away from Kayla. And we should, even though it's still giving them focus, we still need to call it out because it's not okay and it's not acceptable.
Zack Sellars has groomed children. Zack is not on our team no more.
Okay, right, I'm not getting into... right, sorry, I'm not getting into that. Absolutely not.
Guys, okay, some crazy stuff's happening now.
So you guys will just have to believe me, but the Zack's TikTok account, it was just video, like dozens of videos. Like you had to scroll of him every single day calling out James Charles regarding the Kayla situation. Just non-stop. Like he said his piece, you've said your piece. Work it out in the ring at WrestleMania 42 and work it out in court. And so, I mean, that's probably why he's deleted his TikTok account, right? If he's actually getting sued, that's probably why. But it was really, you guys now gonna have to trust me. I mean, unless this is a video that someone took of his, it felt really clout farmy of a domestic violence situation. So this might be a video taken from his account.
Guys, okay, some crazy stuff's happening now. So I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys. My modeling agency received a crazy, insane email. Let's just say this email is from James Charles's team.
The way he talks drives me insane. I'm sorry. Guys, this is so crazy. Oh my god. Sorry. At least James knows how to talk to a cat. Oh my god, am I awful? I'm sorry. I'm just a girl with ADHD who can't deal with who has raging misophonia.
They are now going after my career that I have worked so hard for just because I am speaking the absolute truth. They are now trying to silence me completely. They do not want me to speak another word about the situation.
It rings insincere, but I think he believes that. I think he believes that they're trying to silence him, but it's like, dude, you can't go on a podcast and say, yeah, 100% James Charles is forcing straight men to prostitute. You can't do that without there being some kind of legal ramification. You didn't cover your back. They're not trying to silence you. Am I wrong? I don't. The vibe is off. I'm a philosopher. I'm a qualified philosopher with so many credentials. The vibe is off. They simply ask if you're available for a meeting. You could have at least politely declined, but instead you're making a big deal about it on social media. You're also profiting from Kayla's drama. It's not drama, thanks babe. It's a very serious situation. This isn't about supporting a friend. It's about making yourself big. I know they're not targeting your so-called career. Just like Be Better, why do these weird TikTok yikes and scammers always say celebs are trying to silence them? James is literally trying to silence him. I mean, James, like, if it's not true, if the prostituting thing isn't true, then yeah, he probably doesn't want this guy saying it if it's not true. It will come out in court, ultimately, if it's true or not. Jesus Christ. But there's always that slight delusional grandeur. I'm not going to say who as well, because I don't want to give any of them the airtime, but the conspiracy channels. And look, I'm a reformed conspiracy theorist, guys. Like, I've given it... I mean, yeah, I still think aliens exist somewhere, but I've given up. Or because conspiracy theorists ruin conspiracy theories for the rest of us who are more healthier with it, you know? But the conspiracy channels fucking love to do a little... Oh my god, guys, they're trying to silence me. No, you're just being a knobhead. Well, you're either just being a knobhead or you're platforming... people being accused of sex trafficking. So I'm talking about conspiracy channels, I'm talking about something else. Anyway, should we listen to the rest of this before I just go off on one?
Let me just tell you what they kind of said. So, it said, apologies for the Friday evening email. My firm represents James Charles Dickinson, and I would love to have a frank
I forget that his name is James Charles Dickinson. Like, Charles Dickens is crazy.
discussion with you at your earliest convenience regarding your client, Zack Sellars. Is this not
Why is the quality so bad as well? Why do some people like film TikToks via their toaster, via their like Samsung fridge? Like, what is this?
insane to you guys?
No, that's not insane. That's not insane. Oh my god, I hate the TikTokification and brain rot of, oh my god, that's the most insane. You got an email. Like, chill out. James Charles didn't. No, don't make any inappropriate jokes. Chill out.
James, what are you doing, bro? Like,
suing you. He's. I hate this because it sounds like I'm defending him when I think he's awful and behaved misogynistically towards Kayla. I believe that. So this just sounds like I'm trying to be. I guess I'm just being nuanced, right, guys? Hold my hand with this. I'm just being nuanced. What did he say? I forgot. I got distracted by myself.
Guys, James, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know what you did and you know what I'm doing. It's speaking facts.
Jesus, I mean, he's not helping himself, is he? He's going to get, if he's wrong or exaggerating, he's going to get absolutely rinsed in court, and then people aren't going to believe him. Because, like, people on the internet can't handle nuance. That's why I'm being so, like, a bit weird right now. My own fan base is fine, obviously, but if this reaches, like, outside my fan base. I just said fan base. I'm so sorry. I'm an audience. Oh, no. I've got delusions of grandeur. Some people wouldn't understand that, like, I think this guy is a clout farmer using someone else's horrible situation to gain himself, like, a following. And I think he's digging himself a hole. And I think if James Charles does take him to court, he's going to get absolutely... Because you can't come online and be like, 100% fact, 100% fact. But of course, now I'm concerned that some people are going to hear me say that and be like, oh my god, so you support James Charles? Because there's no nuance on the internet. Whatever.
Zack Sellars, who was previously trying to expose James Charles and...
Conspiracy. What the hell's... Is this a conspiracy? Nope. Not giving you the time of day.
Zack Sellars.
James was telling the truth. I love James. Okay, well, he's still a terrible person. He's still conveniently is always being manipulated by guys so much younger than him. He's still admitted to texting with minors. He still didn't take a woman's word seriously and tried to, God knows what, be a friend to her abusive ex-boyfriend. So you shouldn't love him anyway. Get better taste, weirdos.
Has groomed children. Zack is not...
Right, no, it's just getting into dodgy shit now. It's getting into weird territory. You're still going. Kayla, literally block me. Go touch grass and grow up. I was abused for 9 months. Hello, I bet your 6th grade BF cheated on you and you talk about it 10 years later still. Oh my gosh, she's funny. No, so true.
The past 9 months, you're telling me that you are currently sitting in a jail cell after pleading guilty in front of my face, in front of my family's face, in front of my friend's face, public record. You pled guilty to domestic assault and now you are serving time for it. And while you are sitting in this jail cell, you collect fucking call. That's at least $1.50. You call a podcast. You jail phone in on this podcast and just start yapping about how you're innocent and you never did it and you just had to plead guilty and you weren't actually guilty and that all the videos were like AI.
Wait, no, that's crazy. Doing a podcast from jail? Wow. Rise and grind.
And that all the videos were like AI.
AI, I'm convinced, has also rotted people's brains because you've got people so convinced of the capabilities of AI, not realizing how relatively limiting it still is. Like, people thought that Ricardo Avocado losing all the weight was AI generated and not real. And now, whatever. Anyway, one more thing to add. Kayla did a 30-minute response on TikTok that I'm not going to get into because this video is already too long. But in her text with James, where she said that she was going to do a 30-part series, like Who the Hell Did I Marry series on Evan, she texts that to James. She didn't say anything to anyone else, but then she says that she gets a message from Evan shortly afterwards questioning the fact that she's going to do a 30-part series on him. So she's like, well, how do you know that? The only person that I even said that to was James. So clearly implying that James was already at this point feeding Evan information. And it's like,
she figured out her views, or she's like, I need to make a series. I need to do something. I need to make a series. I need to do something.
So you didn't believe a woman when she said that her ex was abusive. And instead of believing the woman, you then go to said ex with God knows what intentions at this point, and then feed that ex information. You fed information about a victim to their abuser. And I know if James Charles heard this, if Jim Bob heard this, he'd be like, well, it's not my fault. And his defenders would be like, well, he's not done anything wrong and he's just ignorant. I know he'd be like, well, I didn't know any better. And it's like tough shit at this point. How many times can you keep using that as an excuse? I didn't know any better. I was just ignorant. People were manipulating me. Like, firstly, you were being a shit stirrer, clearly, telling him what she'd said. And you, maybe unwittingly, but then she used the word abuse, as in her ex was abusive. You fed, so why would you even for a second, even if you thought, oh, she's being dramatic, like, why would you even risk sending an abuser information about their victim? He's a joke. He's a complete joke. He's either an idiot at best or just insidious at worst. And that's all I wanted to add to this. Honestly, that's all for today's video. What do you think about the whole situation? Don't you think it's all a bit wild? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I make new videos whenever I feel like it. Follow me on here and Instagram and whatnot, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.